Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mythic Banter. I'm here with Akalon, and we're getting ready for another banger of a show. Hopefully, you guys are ready for this. How you doing, Akalon?
I am good, bro. I am good. I'll be honest with you. Throughout the week, I've been adding items to the list of Mythic Banter topics. And when I opened it this morning, I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of topics.
I like how you're like actually organized and adding topics throughout the week. I'm like Thursday evening, I'm like, oh, let me think of like 2 or 3 topics. All right, I got 2 solid topics, and then Friday morning I'm like frantically looking through all of the news feeds. Okay, what else can I bring? Listen, this is a very typical Portuguese trait. We leave everything for the last possible moment. Okay, all the Portuguese watchers out there know exactly what I'm talking about. Very last minute, everything.
I used to do that, but I learned through trial and error that if I don't note it down, I forget it, right? So we'll get to Friday, and I'll be sitting here going, man, there were some things that happened during this week that I remember I wanted to talk about, but fuck me if I can remember what that is.
A single one of those things, not a single one.
Yeah, well, you'll be surprised how much I forget, bro.
No, I wouldn't. Like, my memory is complete garbage. Like, I'm very, very bad with memory. So it
depends, though. It depends, though. Like WoW lore, I can see something once and I'll just remember it randomly forever. But then, yeah, like random topics, it's I see it, it happens. I sort of do the same thing now. I do the same thing now with video recordings. You know, I used to do this thing where every morning I would record all of my videos for the day before I go live. And then I just sort of would forget a bunch of topics or wouldn't remember what I wanted to record. Whereas now I see a topic, I instantly turn on the camera, instantly OBS, let's go, record that fucking shit. And then continue my day, whatever the hell I might be doing at the time. Just because I forget. Because I'll always, this is what I don't know if you do the same thing. I'll come up with a topic. So say, for example, in World of Warcraft, I'll come up with this fire fucking lore topic, right, that I want to discuss. And I start talking to myself about what I'm going to say, what I'm going to talk about, where I'm going to go with this. You know, I'm planning.
You start talking to yourself, like, out loud?
Yeah. No, I do. I talk to myself. I will admit that thoroughly. I will sit here.
Out loud?
Yeah. I will talk to myself out loud. I'll be like, and then I'm going to say this. I'm going to talk about this. And what about this? Okay, we might be talking about the old gods now, but are we going to talk about Nazoth? Are we going to talk about Yasiraj? Who are we going to talk about? I do it out loud. I studied out loud as well in school and in university.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
Then when I'm finally ready to record the video, I forget everything I fucking planned, everything I was going to talk about. Whereas, if I come up with the topic, right, I think about a topic, I'm like, oh, this could be a really cool topic for a video. And I instantly hit record. I remember everything and I talk about everything. It's just the best video ever. So, yeah, I've learned, do it in the moment. Do it as soon as you fucking can. But yeah, anyways, we have a lot to talk about today, so I don't want to waste too much time, but I want to give a massive shout out to all of you that subscribed to Mythic Banter. We not only moved past 100 subscribers, we crushed that. We're on 135 subscribers now, which is insane. So the problem that I have, though, and I should talk about this, there's still some of you that I have a bone to pick with. We get more and more views on every single episode, far more than our subscribers, and they're not subscribing.
Why is this a bad thing? This sounds like a good thing.
Because they're not subscribing. They should be subscribing.
Let me tell you something, Akalon. This is nowadays in the content creation landscape, subscribing is seen as a commitment, okay? And people don't want to commit. Everybody just wants to have...
They need to commit.
No, they want to have premarital sex. Okay, everybody wants premarital sex. They're not interested in committing. Okay, they want to bang us and leave us on the side of the road,
like a cheap hooker. Is that what you think of me and Rurikon? Just like cheap ladies of the night. You assholes. You fucking assholes.
Listen. Listen, here's the thing. You don't have to subscribe. It's fine. Okay. So long as you keep watching.
You don't have to subscribe, but if I find you, I'm going to kick you in the balls. I'm just saying, you don't have to, but remember...
Echelon wants your subscriptions. I just want your love.
Well, all right. Yeah, I want the subscriptions, please. No.
Okay.
If you feel like it, if it moves you, if you feel like this episode is good and you really enjoy listening to us, that subscribe really does help a ton. We are available on Spotify, but not yet on Apple Podcasts because
Apple doesn't like Echelon.
Yeah, they won't let me make an account. They keep saying, can't do it right now. And then I go to the forums and I'm like, why is this happening? And they go, oh, just use your iPhone. I don't have an iPhone. What are you talking about? Why would I have an iPhone?
Listen,
so yeah, it's a whole thing.
I have an iPhone, but I'm way too lazy because I'll have to remove my account and then make a new one. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. It's too much work.
Maybe
I need to see if I can listen. I need to see if I can get a VPN, and then we'll just say we're from California or wherever it is that they're headed, and then maybe they'll be like, okay, they're not from South Africa, they're not from Portugal. We can let them have an account now.
Let's see. What I should do is I should give you the username and the password, and then you log into Anchor FM, and you see if it's maybe a South African bullshit thing that it's not letting me open that. I don't know what it is, but I can't get the account to work. But we are on Spotify. So, there's that. Shout out to the Spotify listeners or viewers. You can watch too if you have eyes.
Yeah, because we are uploading video, right? To Spotify.
Yeah. Full-blown video to Spotify. Okay, so first topic. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am aware that this topic is now almost 3 episodes running, but it's a slow roll. I think we spoke about this topic. No, I think we spoke about this topic 3 episodes.
I don't know which
Maybe
topic
not.
you're bringing up.
But we'll see. All right. This is a thing that has now sort of rolled over for the last month. We've had this asshole just be the center of attention the whole time. We're, of course, talking about Boogie.
It's just the way he likes it. He loves it.
Man, I can't stand this fucker anymore. Boogie 2988. I mean, dude. Okay, so quickly catch up for everyone that didn't know. Boogie 2988, 2 years ago, basically told all of his viewers, all of his subscribers, he has cancer. And he's getting treatment for cancer, and the doctors have decided that he has cancer, and it's the worst thing ever. And since that moment, he's been looking for every single excuse to scam his viewers out of money for his quote-unquote cancer treatment. The most latest one was a meme coin that he sort of built up, and then, just completely dumped, and of course left everyone else holding the bag. That is empty because there's no money in the bag. And then finally, things started to come to a head when Boogie got caught in his lies, right? And it turns out there's so many lies that he himself sort of started to get twisted up in what is the truth and what even is reality at this point. That's why I said to you last week, either this fucker is the most intelligent fuck on the planet ever or the stupidest. I don't know exactly which one it is. He's either super retarded or very intelligent. It has to be one of the two, because I'm at a point now. We were watching this last night on stream, and I just looked at my chat and I was like, I don't know. Is he telling the truth? Isn't he telling the truth? Am I even watching Boogie 2988? I don't know anything anymore.
I'm just assuming that everything that he says is pretty much a lie at this point. I don't really believe pretty much anything that he says, because look, once somebody lies, the potential for them to, it's just something very hard to come back from. For me, the moment that you lie to me, you're gonna have to work triple, quadruple overtime for me to ever trust you again. In the case of Boogie, he's lied so many times that it's like, bro, forget about it. You're a million times out of here. I don't even want to hear it. I don't care whether you have it, whether you don't. But it is extremely disrespectful to go around telling people, oh, I have cancer, when you actually don't even have a confirmed diagnosis. That is completely messed up, because cancer is obviously an extremely devastating sickness that destroys lives straight up. And, I'm sure that almost everybody in the audience will know someone who's been affected by cancer in one way or another. and it's just disgusting. It's a disgusting thing to fake.
Yeah.
And so to fake it and then scam people and say, oh yeah, I had to do it because of this fake thing that I actually don't even know that I have. And it's like, bro, get the hell out of here. You've been given so many opportunities and you just keep eating yourself to death and not actually working on yourself at all. Just stop. Just stop. There's no more sympathy to be had for this man. It's over.
He should just leave at this point. But the story today is he has finally come out and admitted to lying. He has finally come out and basically admitted to everything. Of course, I would caution against watching his apology video or his admittance video because there's a lot of gaslighting happening in that video.
And manipulation.
Yeah, like, dude, the guy can't go 5 minutes without manipulating his audience, without trying to somehow, like, he's admitting to lies and he says, I'm coming out and I'm being honest about everything now. But then he still lies because he says to Keemstar, he says 2 years ago, they found markers of blood cancer, basically, right? Which is elevated red blood cell count. And then they found some other markers that may hint to cancer, and they started to treat him immediately, even though they wanted to do more tests. The doctor said, we have to treat you for cancer. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? There is not a single doctor alive that would just start randomly treating for cancer. Isn't like taking a fucking Disprin or an aspirin. It's not like saying, we'll just give you an aspirin.
Let's do some chemo just in case.
Yeah, just a little bit of chemo. Shits and giggles. We'll pump you full of poison that will almost definitely kill you for this thing that we think you may have. Like, what are you fucking talking about?
It's absolutely like, it's just, again, it's, and the worst part about that, right, is because in that show where he finally admits it, he starts the show being all like, oh, guys, my life is so bad. I've messed up so bad. Don't you feel sorry for me? And then Destiny comes on and he's like, fuck you, Destiny. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to. And it's like, bro, it's like the mask comes off like that. It's like, bro, no, just stop. Just stop. He doesn't. The worst part about all this is I guarantee you, he doesn't regret a single thing he's done. The only thing he regrets is getting caught.
The thing is, like, I don't even think Boogie regrets getting caught. I'll explain to you why. So Boogie has narcissism.
Because it's given him attention?
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Boogie has just a classic case of narcissism. But what Boogie has, which most narcissists don't necessarily suffer from, is also what seems to be suffering from severe neglect, right? So as a child, I think at some point in Boogie's childhood, now I'm not a psychologist, but I've watched enough videos of psychologists talking about this specific thing. If a child suffers severe neglect, there is the chance that a child starts to identify and connect very bad actions. So people judging them, people hating them, all sorts of, like, the stuff that most humans do not want to experience from other human beings.
This child's interactions.
They start viewing that as affirmation, as love, right? So it becomes the thing that they crave, which is sort of like, almost you can view it as almost like a public humiliation fetish, right? That Boogie seems to have, where he just will not stop. He says these outrageous things, and then when he gets caught, and this is like the third or the fourth time this has happened, he'll be on a video and he'll just openly make himself into the most pathetic human being you've ever seen in your life. You know, there's one commenter that demands that Boogie apologize to some dude, but then also that Boogie says, I'm the most disgusting human being that's ever lived, this, that, and the other. And Boogie just does it. And it's like, dude, anyone with any self-respect would apologize profusely. But I wouldn't go around calling myself the most disgusting human being fucking ever. Why? That's like you asking me to throw myself with rotten tomatoes. Like, no, you can throw me with the tomatoes because I deserve to be publicly shamed, but I'm not going to do it to myself. Whereas Boogie seems to get off on this very negative attention.
It's very weird, and it's just a messed up situation all around. And the thing is, right? Keemstar's still gonna milk this for all it's worth, and you can bet that he's gonna be back on the Lol Cow show at some point. Like, there's
I
no
know
way
he
he's
was.
not.
I know Keemstar fired him, but I think Keemstar is going to bring him back at some
Now,
point.
Keemstar was already setting up a path for him to come back before he fired him. So it's like, nah, bro, he's a 1,000,000%
I
coming
mean,
back.
why
But
not? Right? He
it's
right
just,
now drives the
yeah.
views.
Oh yeah, like he's gonna be the center of it. The thing that I always find interesting about Boogie is that people that talk about him get more views than him himself making videos. It's just a really weird concept, but it is what it
proper lol
is.
cow.
Yeah.
He was made for that fucking podcast. But no, so just to top it off, and then we can get into more fun conversations. Boogie lied 100%, and then he continues to gaslight, saying that he's going to donate $1,000 to St. Jude's. It's like, why, bro? This has nothing to do with you trying to do charity or whatever. No one gives a shit about your charity to St. Jude's. St. Jude's. Give the money, don't give the money, who gives a shit? You lied, this isn't going to make it better. And then Keemstar says that Boogie had already mailed his play button to Keemstar, and Keemstar is going to auction that off, and they're going to donate that money to a cancer research organization. And Boogie goes on this entire thing about why it needs to be St. Jude's, because they do so much good, and they help so many people, and they do research for cancer. And it's like, again, Boogie, shut the fuck up. No one gives a shit about you.
I would just like to point out that YouTube has sent Boogie a play button. Do you see my play button anywhere?
No.
Because I don't fucking have one.
But have you requested one?
I tried. I can't.
Why?
I don't know. I've given up on it. I've accepted that, it's whatever.
Oh, well,
they can keep their play button. It is what
make your own.
I'm just
make your own.
Yeah, I'll make my own play button, like out of wood or something.
Yeah,
like I'll go grab a piece of wood and I'll make a play button. There you go.
Why not? It works for some people. But all right, so fuck it. Off the Boogie thing. Hopefully, we never have to talk about Boogie 2988 ever again on this podcast, because, well, it's finally over. The dude's admitted it, and hopefully he now just goes into obscurity and fixes himself or whatever. All right, so into the I don't even want to say into the fire, because it's a blazing inferno now. So Rurikon, I don't know if you've heard of this little game that's coming soon called AC Shadows. Have you heard of that?
That piece of garbage. It's like, look, I've had no respect for Assassin's Creed game for the longest time. I've made no secret from this. I believe I even talked about on a previous episode on the podcast about something that happened to me extremely egregious in Odyssey. But like, the absolute creative bankruptcy of the team behind Assassin's Creed Shadows cannot be overstated. I don't know if we talked about on the podcast how apparently they had this exposition. I think it might have been in France, because it was the Ubisoft French team that tweeted it out. And apparently they had an exposition. They had like a couple of pieces. And so, obviously Yasuke being samurai, all of that, what are they going to put in there? They have like a samurai helmet, they have a katana, and they had like some Japanese statue or whatever. So you want to know what katana they put on there?
Which one?
Have you heard about this at all?
No.
So they went to Amazon and bought like the cheapest possible katana they could find.
Of course.
Unfortunately, that just happened to be a katana from a One Piece character, Zoro, the dude who has like 3 katanas. He has like 1 katana in his mouth and then 2 katanas in his hands. So they grabbed one of those because it was red. And they're like, oh yeah, red's going to look real good for Yasuke. And it even had the same katakana in the base of the katana.
Oh, man.
The same text. They was like, just send it. Don't care. I actually went up and I looked it up on Amazon. I was like, Zoro katana. And then I compared it to the one that they posted on their thing. And I was like, you guys just don't give a fuck.
No, they really don't. But there's good news.
So creatively bankrupt. And listen, there's another one. There's another one that they've done. Now, I don't know too much about Japan when it comes to their seasons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But apparently, in the game, they had like the scene where it's like the sakuras in full bloom and whatnot because it's very iconic to Japanese culture and whatnot. And then they had like a bunch of like rice baskets.
Mm-hmm.
And people who know stuff about Japan instantly pointed out, wait, sakura's in full bloom and there's rice?
Yeah,
Why?
it's not supposed to be.
It doesn't work like that. So
No,
it's
no,
like
no.
this team is just they don't care. They don't care. I think that even the people working on the game, they're just like, listen, they go in there and they clock in and they clock out and they're just like, they don't care. They're like, hey, listen, the man upstairs told me to reskin Assassin's Creed Odyssey to look like it's in Japan. And that's what I did. I reskinned Assassin's Creed, not Odyssey, it's Valhalla, actually.
Yeah, but it's very simple. Right now, the West appears to be obsessed with Eastern culture, right? South Korea, Japan, China.
I'm obsessed with Eastern culture. I'll admit that.
Yeah, but there's plenty of Western people who are obsessed, right, with Western culture, with Eastern culture. And that's perfectly fine. Everyone can appreciate different things. I don't really give a shit what you appreciate or what you don't. But fundamentally, that's what Ubisoft is after here, right? They're after that sort of capitalizing on that movement of people that love anime, love everything that is Eastern, without actually loving it themselves, without actually understanding. I mean, the Japanese fans of the idea of an Assassin's Creed set in Japan were outraged, dude. Not only about the seasons, not only about the character Yasuke that they're using in the show or in the game, but also just some of the words, right? Some of the symbols don't mean at all what Ubisoft claims it does, right? It's completely fucking wrong.
It's not what it means. It's the clan symbols because they have these very specific clan symbols for the different clans of the era, and apparently Ubisoft just completely fumbled it. They're like,
that character will have
cool.
Yeah,
it's like, wait, who did Yosuke work for? Was it Nobunaga? Oh, right, yeah, we'll just use this one, and then it's like, oh, never mind, that's the wrong one. That doesn't matter. It looks cool.
But that's exactly it, right? The guy would have, like, this main character has symbols from 2 different fucking clans on it. So he's a traitor or he's confused. But now, dude, it gets even worse. So everyone and their mother came out. All of the fake intellectuals came out and said, Yasuke is an absolute historical character. We have all of the history about him. People in Japan is actually super proud of this samurai that came from Africa. And he was such a hero in Japanese culture. Turns out,
I thought he was smuggled in by Portuguese slavers.
Here's the thing,
something like that.
It turns out all of the evidence of this character ever being a samurai or ever being anything important came from a book, right? That the writer himself faked academic papers on Wikipedia. Like, he would go on Wikipedia and change the academic papers to confirm what his book says. And then he deleted all of his social media and just fucking blended into the background. He's like, oops, I've been caught. Because as it turns out, and as actual scholars and historians started to point out, first and foremost, there is zero evidence of Yasuke ever being a samurai. To be a samurai is a lifelong training regiment. You start as a fucking child, right? And they bring you up and they teach you the way of the sword, the way of life. Because being a samurai isn't just being a soldier. It's also having a lot of philosophical approaches to life and rule bearers and rule givers. They were considered to be the highest honor that you could have in Japanese culture, outside of being, one of the chosen leaders of Japanese society. And there just wouldn't be enough time for this Yasuke to ever learn even a tenth of what would be required for him to be a samurai. So as it turns out, he was just in the employ of the emperor at the time, right? He wasn't a samurai. He never could have been a samurai. And as people have figured out that the academic papers have been changed, they're finally being changed back. And now all of these things are coming out. So Ubisoft not only decided to base a character on a completely fictional bit of history, which would be fine. I just want to.
They're not but I'm just saying they're not the first ones to say that Yosuke is a samurai. There's plenty of other video games that claim Yosuke to be a samurai as well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that Ubisoft's like, oh, they've made them into a samurai. It's like there's plenty of other games that have made him into a samurai. I think that's fine if that's what you want to do.
What I don't like, right? As I said, you want to make a character that is completely fictional, not based on reality at all. Dude, it's video games. Fuck me.
Yeah.
I can't cast fireballs, and yet I really enjoy doing it in video games, right? So I don't give a fuck if it's fake or not. But they were the ones who gaslit the audience by claiming the audience is racist because this character is absolutely a fundamental historical figure, right? They used the fake information about this character to gaslight their own audience, who were complaining because obviously they're using a character that is completely fictional and pretending like this character somehow matters. And then also just the stuff, it makes some of the stuff that happens in the game even worse now, because as this character walks through the streets of Japan, every single Japanese peasant is just bowing to him and fucking acting so scared. And he goes around slaughtering a bunch of Japanese people. And the Japanese are rightfully upset, not only because that's not how samurai would conduct themselves. That's not their view of samurai. And I think, again, if you're going to base a character on a culture, it's important to respect the culture that you're fucking basing it on, right? You want to show reverence and respect to that culture.
I mean, to me, the way that I look at it is, it's not even about being respectful about the culture or not, because it's a video game. You should be able to just do whatever the hell you want. To me, what is the problem is the way that they conduct themselves, because they're saying like, oh no, we're doing this because this is accurate. And then it's like, okay, here's Sakura in full bloom, and here's the rice baskets. Here's these completely messed up clan icons. Here's, all of this other stuff surrounding it. And that's the thing. They're selling it as this historically accurate video game, and then there's not that much historical accuracy about it at all. And then when people say, oh, we would rather have like a more traditional character, they just go out and start insulting people. And it's like, look, everybody's entitled to play whatever character they want, feel whatever way they want to feel about any specific thing. To me, it's like, it being Yasuke doesn't bother me. What bothers me is their business practices and the way that they are presenting this whole thing, which just seems like a complete clusterfuck.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. But I do think, again, if you are there are some things that I don't care about, right? So there's some cultural practices that doesn't really matter all that much. But samurai is a very deep thing in Japanese culture, right? And the Japanese tend to be very protective of their culture. So to go in and twist what their culture is all about, but then pretend like you're actually celebrating their culture, that I think is the disgusting. At least be honest and say, yeah, we made this game specifically to shit on Japanese people. Then okay, Jesus fine, Christ. Right? Great. At least you're honest. But that's not what they did here. But yeah, anyways, I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention here. Stop, please stop, if you are one of these people going around on Reddit and bashing people who complain about this with, oh, but he's an historical character. He is not. He existed in history, but none of the things that Ubisoft claims he's doing did he ever do in history, except, of course, if he stole a samurai outfit and just went around killing a bunch of people. But there's no evidence for that. So you're going to have to go fucking look for that before you start making those claims.
I've seen so many different theories, but supposedly he was a retainer. Yeah. And basically, it was Nobunaga, right, who he served. I'm not 100% sure. But apparently he was just like, oh, I've never seen a black man this tall. This is insane. Like, this is really cool. Can I? And basically was like, can I have him? And then he's like, yeah, let's dress him up as a samurai and give him a couple of swords. It'll be great.
Yeah,
and,
well,
that was it.
Yeah, from what I understand,
that was my understanding of it, but I don't actually know.
From what I understand, he was a retainer. And while samurai would be referred to as retainers in Japan, not all retainers were samurai. And again, as the historians have now pointed out, samurai train for years and years and years and years to become samurai. He did not have the time to be a samurai. It would never have happened. There just wasn't enough time for that. But all right, so moving on from, that, and again, I don't know if we're moving to a better part of the podcast necessarily, but I know this is one of Rurikon's favorite topics. I know the Rurikon loves this.
Here we go.
Good news, Rurikon. You're
okay.
I don't know if you played Manor Lords or not, but if you have, I have wonderful news for you. It is officially moving to Unreal Engine 5.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean it's better, right? It's better performance. It's better everything on Unreal 5, right?
Bro, listen, the games that I play when they come out on Unreal 5, that's usually like a red warning sign. Okay. Listen. I mean, I think that the two games that I've complained about the most with the UE5 situation, I think they actually run much better now, and they've actually managed to get things working. I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty sure that Remnant 2 is doing pretty good. I haven't played it on PC. I've mostly played it on PS5, but I greatly enjoy it now. And Lords of the Fallen, I don't know, because I haven't played Lords of the Fallen in a very long time. But let me tell you, when those games came out, it was all, oh my God, UE5, let's go. And I was like, how about UE5? Let's not.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the implementation. I've had a conversation with, for instance, Tragic, who is one of the lead gameplay designers in Remnant 2, and he told me that it's a lot about implementation and the technology still being fairly recent. So it also depends on how you implement it. So just because Manor Lords is moving to UE5 doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have problems, but I haven't played Manor Lords. I don't know anything about it. So I don't know if it's going to be good or not.
Yeah. I think so. Here's my thing. I played Manor Lords. It is arguably the best city builder I've ever played in my life.
How was it performance wise? Was it UE4 before?
Yeah, it's UE4. It's UE4, and yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I had
what GPU do you have? You have a 3080.
3080.
Right?
Yeah. Full graphics. It looks stunning. It really does feel like you're a Manor Lord and you're just directing your town. It's a phenomenal game. It is. There's a lot of things coming.
Is a Manor Lord like a landlord? Is that a landlord simulator?
It's sort of like as a
you
Manor
capitalist
Lord,
pig.
Well, yeah, obviously I am a capitalist, but I think it's more like a Manor Lord is usually serves under the king, because in the game after the 3rd year you start paying the royal tax, right? So you have to pay taxes to the king, and so you are basically given a piece of land. And you have to run that land in the name of the king. You have to build up soldiers.
Taxes in this video game.
Yeah. You can turn it off. You can turn it off. So you can be a criminal if you choose to be. But the taxes sort of help, because the money. The game has some balancing issues. There's still a lot of things that needs to be sort of addressed in the game. There's still a lot of things that isn't added in.
It's still an early access though, right?
Yeah. 100%. The next update is also bringing things like fishing ponds, which I think will be great for another source of food, especially in areas. There are certain maps that have almost no ability to plant, right? So planting, the land is just not good for planting or for farming. Yeah. So there you usually have severe issues when it comes to food, because you just don't have anywhere to fucking get the food from. There's a bunch of issues that needs to be sorted. The Unreal Engine 5 update looks phenomenal, but I sort of wonder about Unreal Engine 5. The thing is, Unreal Engine 5 is the most advanced gaming engine ever created, right? That used to be Unreal Engine 4. It was miles ahead of any other engine in the world. And Unreal Engine 5 leaves Unreal Engine 4 in terms of features in the dust. The problem, of course, with any feature is it requires optimization. The more features you add into your game, that's why, by the way, I wanted to drop this just very quickly, because I know a lot of people sort of ask questions. So, for example, there's been very recently a lot of questions around Once Human and why it doesn't have DLSS support as native. And I had a conversation with a guy that works on game engines, and he basically said, optimizing the game becomes a nightmare when you add more features into it. So it's already a fucking nightmare to optimize a game. But when you have DLSS in there, that's another feature that needs to be optimized for every single PC system. You add FSR in there, it needs to be optimized. So everything you add becomes another layer of optimization that needs to be done that can conflict with layers below it and on top of it, and so on and so forth. So it kind of makes sense that Unreal Engine 5, I think what happens in a lot of cases with Unreal Engine 5 and games that launch on Unreal is they get caught up in the bells and whistles of Unreal Engine 5.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that's one of the biggest complaints that I had with Lords of the Fallen was I was like, okay, look, bro, did you guys? It literally seemed like they went through, the visual special effect section. They're like, oh, look at this cool special effect. Let's put that in. Oh, look at this one's cool too. Put that one in too. And then it just becomes a clusterfuck of particle effects. Like I remember at some points I was walking around and my character is leaving behind this massive blue trail from the lantern thing that we carry. And I'm just like, why do we need this fuck off blue trail that does nothing from a gameplay? It does literally nothing. Doesn't give me any immersion whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, it's the fucking opposite. Why does this stupid lamp leave like a lightsaber trail behind it? Makes no fucking sense. And it's just slowing down the gameplay experience. It's just the most needless, dumbass thing I've ever fucking seen. But they did it. It feels like they were just like, okay, let me grab this feature, put it there. Grab this feature, put it there. More particle effects, more particle effects. More. It's like, you don't need all of these particle effects, bro. The game already looks good. It's fine.
But you see, that's the issue. Because just because you have it does not mean you need to use it. And that's the problem with Unreal Engine 5. It has so many cool things that it does that I think a lot of developers just start to fall into the trap of, oh, we could add this. It's sort of like, I don't know if you remember the documentary about Final Fantasy 14 1.0.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
The barrels that were so loaded with pixels that they would slow everything down.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, right?
It reminds me of like the very first time that I discovered word art in Microsoft Word. And you just start like, oh my God, dude, look at all these crazy letters we can make. And it's like every single next like school report or thing that you would work on, big fucking word art font right on the start. And it's like, it looked like ass, but at the time was like, it's so pretty. It's like you do it just because.
I mean, that's literally what it is, right?
In there.
Yeah, it's like someone getting a thesaurus for the first time and then changing every fucking word to something in the thesaurus. It's like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Friends has an episode like this where Joey used a thesaurus to write a letter to Chandler Monica's adoption agency. And it's like, instead of saying they're people with heart, he's like, they have people with giant aortic pumps. It's like, what the fuck?
That's not very smart.
But fundamentally, I think that's where Unreal Engine 5's real issues lie. I don't necessarily think it's in the engine itself, but also it comes with maturity, right? I remember when Unreal Engine 4 first came out, there were massive complaints about Unreal Engine 4 for a long time, specifically with MMOs or multiplayer games. The Unreal Engine 4 engine was really bad for games that showed too much shit on the screen at the same time. And as time goes on, developers finally started to figure out how to optimize for that. And nowadays, Unreal Engine 4 runs just fine. Unreal 5 coming out, you have so many studios now switching all of their projects over to Unreal 5. I think it's going to get better. But you said something about Lords of the Fallen that I was reminded of this yesterday. So yesterday, I'm playing Elden Ring on stream, and we killed the witch bitch of Lucaria Academy.
Renala?
Yeah, Renala. The one that had the relationship with the Hero, and then the Hero left her for Queen Marika. That one.
Radagon.
Right? So, Radagon. Yeah. Fuck his wolf, by the way. That wolf can suck my dick.
You don't like Radagon's dog? Such a nice little doggo.
Dude, that fight nearly drove me insane. Nearly drove me insane. And also, can I just say, fuck mages in Elden Ring. Fuck you all.
Yeah.
I hate mages. They have magic that hones in on you and keeps fucking chasing you. It's ridiculous. It's
fuck
ridiculous.
Intelligence builds. I agree. Yeah. Fuck them.
I got so triggered in that last fight with Runala where she sends this giant moon that chases you. Then while the fucking moon is chasing you, she has ice particles that starts chasing you and beams shooting out of her asshole. It's like, bro, what the fuck am I supposed to do? It was just not a fun fight.
Listen, have you tried killing her?
I did eventually.
Oh, there you go.
Because I kept asking, when the fuck is the gap for me to actually kill her? Because she just keeps casting.
I'm gonna teach you a very important strategy that people don't want you to know in Elden Ring. If you hit a boss hard enough, it dies.
Wow.
You just hit them really hard.
Yeah, the problem is they have the same strategy. And it usually works much better for them than it does for me.
No.
But I did switch to.
It's because you've been using these little katana things, and you're like, oh, I'm a samurai. Oh.
I did it actually,
no, bro.
I switched. I'm no longer using the katanas.
What are you using then?
Reduvia. I think it's called Reduvia Blade. And it is phenomenal. It shoots this fucking blood thing. Dude, it does so much damage. The bleed on that thing is nuts. I finally killed her with that, by the way. It took like 5 shots, dead. It's like, yes, bitch. And
Akalon, you go from dual wielding katanas to wielding a dagger.
Yes.
Like, your weapons are becoming smaller, not bigger.
Yes. But
what is wrong with you?
But I shoot this blood arc thing that does fucking phenomenal damage.
I know.
And
yeah,
also,
great.
And my arcane is finally at 25. So I am bleeding quite heavily at the minute. I'm loving it. But
are you on your period? You said I'm bleeding quite heavily.
My character causes periods in everyone he meets, just by the way. I'm currently in what's that fucking place? Giant hands everywhere. The creepiest shit I've ever seen in my life.
The Carrion Manor, yes.
There we go. I just entered into the Carrion Manor.
Those hands are creepy as fuck, aren't they?
Dude, I ran into the Carrion Manor, and I'm like, okay, what are these small little things here? I'm like, dude, are those hands? What the fuck is this? And I run towards one of them to try and kill it. The next minute, 2 giant fucking hands drop out of the sky. I'm convinced these are bosses because it takes fucking forever to kill them. And then I see another giant hand after I kill the 2. I'm like, dude, these weren't bosses? This is like an actual thing that I have to now fucking deal with?
Yes.
And then some of them are underground and they just grab you and squeeze the fuck out of you. That manor sucks. That manor sucks. I don't know what the lore is behind that, but something's really wrong with that manor.
Listen, you want me to tell you the name of those creatures?
What are they called?
The Finger Creepers.
The Finger Creepers. What the fuck? Dude, I'm convinced that the people who designed Elden Ring was high as fuck every single day. Like, you would walk into the office. You would walk into the office and they would put a heroin drip on you as soon as you go in there. Because no normal human being that isn't on the trip of their fucking lives would think half the shit that these guys are thinking. It just would not happen. It's ridiculous. But I will say this. The Lords of the Fallen thing that you said reminded me of something that I noticed yesterday while I'm playing Elden Ring. And I realized that people might be getting sick of me praising Elden Ring, but I have to because this might actually be the best game I've ever played in my life. They do something in Elden Ring that I see so few AAA studios do, but they do it to perfection. Every single mob that you talk to, they did almost no effort to give those mobs animations. The mobs don't really animate when they talk to you. They just sit there. They just stand in this one thing.
I mean, they animate a little bit. What you mean is they animate a little bit. They don't have too much facial animation is what you're saying.
facial animation, they rarely move around when they're talking to you, right? So it's not.
Oh yeah, they don't move. They just they sit there.
They
but
sit
like
there and they
they'll
do their one
animate
thing.
as in they might change their pose or they might point at something. They might like pre-made animations. Yeah, they'll do those. But
it's limited, very limited. Consider, sort of compare this to a Cyberpunk 2077 animation shit, right? It doesn't have that, but they spent time and effort where it mattered for immersion, which is the voice acting is phenomenal on every single one of those characters. The world makes sense. They didn't spend time making thralls and fusses and bullshit on random crap. The world just works because you could see everything in the world had a purpose. There's a reason why we wanted to put these things in the way that it is. It's not thralls and fusses and nonsense. And it works. And it also, and I spoke about this yesterday on stream, Elden Ring and its success proves that AAA gaming is full of shit. For years now, we have been told that gamers want accessibility, gamers want things easy, gamers want things handed to them on a platter.
Wait. We have to separate those two things. Difficulty and accessibility are two very, very, very different things. There are still a lot of things. There are still a lot of things that Elden Ring can do to improve accessibility. That I will agree. Because, like, you look at games, for instance, like The Last of Us, where they have high contrast modes and text to speech and all of these other features. The problem is, naturally, a game like Elden Ring doesn't have as big of a budget as a game like Last of Us, so they're going to be somewhat limited. It's like, oh well, let's just spend, I don't know, a third of our budget in accessibility features. That's just not feasible because it's a much smaller studio.
But it has mods, right? It has mods, and someone told me there are mods that do those things.
There might be. I don't know. I don't really use mods, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I know of a mod that actually makes you invincible. You could literally install a mod that makes you unkillable.
Don't you?
No.
Dare.
I don't mod games on my first playthrough ever.
Don't you backstab me like that?
No, fuck that, bro. I enjoy the game as it is. When I use accessibility, I should be clear, I'm using it in the way that the AAA industry uses it, not in the way that normal gamers would use it, which is someone that has an actual disability may require something, but difficulty sliders isn't accessibility. But the gaming industry does use it that way. You need to make the game easy, accessible. Everyone gets in. Everyone gets to have fun. That's just how it works. The no death mode, for example, in the new Dragon Age game. These are called accessibility features. Here comes Elden Ring. It doesn't have any of that, right? It just says, here's a world. Go explore the world. It has tools, but note, you have to discover those tools for yourself. The game isn't going to tell you about those tools. The game isn't going to make it obvious to you that these tools are usable. It's a little fucking, what looks like a cemetery headstone, right, on the side of your screen. And if you see that, you might want to summon some stuff. What is summoning? I don't know, bro. Figure it out. Go fucking figure out what is this shit that drops the whole time that might be used as summons. It's up to you to figure it out, to make the game as hard or as easy for yourself, depending on how you want to play the game. And the fact that it's so successful proves that that is what gamers want. This is the type of gaming that want. Yeah. Otherwise, and anyone that says, wow, it was just sort of the George R.R. Martin effect, because I heard some people saying that.
No.
What I would say to that is, if you were right, and Elden Ring base game just sort of profited from Game of Thrones success and George R.R. Martin writing for it, and
it 100% was not.
Then Shadow of the Erdtree would not have been successful because people would not have enjoyed the base game and wouldn't have bought the DLC, right?
So to give you an idea, I think that a lot of people don't even know what George R.R. Martin's contribution was, but fundamentally, George R.R. Martin didn't write the story of Elden Ring. He wrote the lore of the world, so what takes place before the events of Elden Ring. And even then, a lot of the things that he wrote, he wrote a story, and then Miyazaki's team interpreted it. Like, do you think Miyazaki wrote Godric the Grafted to look like that? Like
No.
I mean, did I say Miyazaki or George R.
Yeah,
R.
I know what
Martin?
you meant. You meant George R. R. Martin wrote him to
Yeah,
look like
he,
that.
he didn't write Godric to look like that. As a matter of fact, George R. R. Martin, like, he saw some of the creations, he was like, crap, that was in the game that I wrote lore for. Damn. So a lot of it was also adapted by Miyazaki. They just wanted like a base lore to build from, and to get references from. So
Yeah, I
no,
think that's fine.
it's not George R. R. Martin.
No. But I'm just
and
saying.
you can see that by looking at previous From Software games that are also very successful.
Yeah, but the reason I bring it up is there's a quick logical test that you can do to ask yourself, is this truly what gamers want? Shadow of the Erdtree. If it wasn't, then it would not have been successful, because people may have gotten caught in the hype for the base game, played it a little, fucking go, this is the biggest bunch of bullshit ever, I will never play this game again, and then they wouldn't have bought Shadow of the Erdtree. But Shadow of the Erdtree was ridiculously successful. So it means that, yes, the game is ridiculously successful. Does this mean that every game... Yeah?
There's a lot of people that have been reading comments in my comment section and throughout the community that feel that From Software is done because they didn't like Elden Ring and they didn't like Shadow of the Erdtree, and they're like, yep, this is it.
Why?
This is the... it's like, look, there's a lot of things that come from their previous games, but fundamentally my quick interpretation is they're trying to play Dark Souls and Elden Ring is a very different game. And I don't want to get too in the weeds with that, because I know that there's much more nuance to this before people start saying, that's not what we said at all, Rurikon. There's a lot more nuance to that, but that would be like a full-on 3-hour discussion talking about the ins and outs. But fundamentally, a lot of people aren't happy about it, and they think that From Software is going to just move in this direction of just doing Elden Ring-like games forever, which, number one, would not be correct, because if you just look at From Software, last year they released Armored Core 6, which has nothing to do with Elden Ring. Zero. And then if you think before that, they released a game called Sekiro, which also has nothing to do with Elden Ring. But people just think that, that From Software is going to become like Electronic Arts, where it's just going to spit out the same thing over and over and over, despite the fact that Miyazaki's been putting out completely different games every single time. And it's just, with the exception of obviously the Dark Souls trilogy, because, this is Dark Souls, so it's Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Those are very similar, but then you have Bloodborne, which is very different, have Sekiro, which is very different, have Elden Ring now, which is also different. And it's just frustrating for me to see people just discard From Software just because they didn't like one of the games that they put out, or maybe didn't have as good of an experience as they wanted out of one of the games that they put out. It's just weird to me.
I will say to anyone that says that, go and listen to what Miyazaki said. Miyazaki, in a very recent interview, said his quest isn't to make the most popular game ever. It's to make the best RPG ever. And while they've gotten closer, there's still a long way off.
He didn't say the best RPG ever. He says the game I want to make, the RPG I want to make.
Yeah, so but like, in his mind,
Elden Ring is very close to the game that I want to make, but it's not quite there yet. So
well, it's the RPG that he wants to play, right? It's the best RPG in his opinion. And I think what you're seeing from Miyazaki and from Software is the success of Dark Souls cannot be denied, right? Not only was it successful, it literally birthed a new genre of fucking video game. Nowadays, when you go up to people and you say Souls-like, everyone fucking knows what you're talking about, because it's a very specific genre of video game that they started. But then you look at something like Armored Core, you look at Elden Ring, you look at Bloodborne. It is as if, you look at Sekiro, it is as if what Miyazaki is doing is trying not to taint the previous titles. So he didn't call Elden Ring Dark Souls 4, because Elden Ring and Dark Souls 4 isn't the same thing. But Elden Ring is probably experimenting with things that he would like to take into the next game. Armored Core is probably experimenting with things that he would like to take into the next game. Sekiro is experimenting. So he's making these games and marching towards the ultimate RPG that he thinks can ever be made. And I think the next game is probably going to be most likely going to be closer to Dark Souls, considering the fact that most of their recent releases have been quite the opposite of what Dark Souls used to be. They might be poised for another Dark Soul-esque kind of game that holds a lot closer to Dark Souls, but also still has the open world exploration of Elden Ring.
Bro, you need to play Dark Souls 1.
I will eventually play probably all of their games, Armored Core and all that included. Right now, I'm just working through Shadow of Elden Ring, and then I want to do Shadow of the Erdtree as well. But yeah, I think let's give the man the opportunity to cook, right?
Yeah, it's very frustrating because I feel like a lot of people, they play like one or two big games, and those are like their big games that they play. And me, I just look at more of the industry as a whole. Like I have a huge breadth of variety of games that I've played, and I look at a lot of games, and then I look at Elden Ring, and I'm just like, bro, what they're doing here is so unique. Like I feel like a lot of people don't have the perspective to fully understand how good we have it with Elden Ring.
Yeah, 100% in agreement with you there. It is, like I said, it's one of the best games I've ever played. It is phenomenal. But then, moving on from, sort of praising Miyazaki, we'll probably do that almost every episode until I'm done with Elden Ring, because that game is just, it has my heart at the moment. But moving on from that, a little bit of bad news, at least for me, and I know this is going to be good news for a lot of Halo fans, but Halo has been canceled by Paramount Plus after 2 seasons.
I haven't seen it at all, but to me it was such a weird thing that, oh, we're making a Halo show. First thing we do, remove the helmet from Master Chief. I was like, I'm not even a big Halo fan, but I figured that would be a big no-no. And then apparently they stripped him naked, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there are law reasons for the helmet not being allowed to be removed.
It's just it's a mystique.
I
it's
get
more
that.
of a mystique thing. It's part of his character.
I get that, but I would say to that, what people need to understand when it comes to specifically series and movies is a lot of its success, right? Because remember, in a video game, you become the character that you're playing, right? That's the role play element of the character. So if the character never removes their helm, that's that mystique. And in the game, it's most likely literally chosen so that you can imagine yourself wearing the helm, right? If the character removes the helm, suddenly the character is now not you. Whereas in the show, you're not that character, right? You're not viewing the show through the eyes of Master Chief. So it's sort of important to create that connection, that relationship between the audience and Master Chief. I had no problem with most of the things in the Halo series. I thought it was really good. I didn't like the Rebel bits. Like whenever they went to the Rebels, that was boring as shit. But the lore, everything was really fun for me. I didn't really mind it. But yes, Halo is now cancelled by Paramount Plus, and they are looking for a different streaming service. So they're reaching out to Prime, they're reaching out to Netflix. They're hoping one of these will pick up season 3, because apparently season 3 has already been shot. Paramount just canceled it.
I feel like all of these streaming services are coming to a situation where I don't remember if we spoke about this last time, but they've gotten to a point where it just doesn't make sense, because there are so many different services. You don't know where you can get, like, it used to just be, okay, we have Netflix.
Yeah.
And Netflix has pretty much everything. But now it's like, okay, so if you want to watch this show, you need HBO Max. If you wanted this show, you need a Hulu. If you want this show, then you need Apple something. And if you want to watch, and it's too much. This is basically cable with extra steps. It's like we got away from cable to get something that is now even worse than cable.
Yeah.
Because you have to subscribe to a zillion different
There needs
services.
to be some great unifier, and I'm not saying that there needs to be only one service. If there are 2 or 3 services, no problem. But
right now, the ones that I think are probably the 2 that I personally use. I'm not saying they're the best, but it's like the ones that I personally use is Netflix because it's convenient. I already have it, and it has the Netflix Kids thing, so that my kids can just watch it and I don't have to worry about them suddenly watching something that they shouldn't be watching. So it's very convenient for kids more so than anything else because I barely even watch Netflix anymore. And then Prime, because Prime comes together with your Amazon thing, Amazon Prime. So you're paying for a service that has other benefits rather than just the streaming thing. Those are like the 2 strongest proponents right now. Whereas the other ones, I just don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I have Prime. I don't even have Netflix anymore because Netflix doesn't, especially in South Africa, doesn't have that great of a.
I probably wouldn't have Netflix if it wasn't for the kids. It's just because
I can respect that.
TVs have like built-in Netflix, so I'm just like, oh, this is so fucking convenient. Just boom, done.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think we have, in keeping with talking about streaming services, you also now have The Acolyte. The Acolyte, I'm happy to announce. I'm happy to announce, though, The Acolyte is the 2nd worst show on Disney Plus ever. Only barely beating out Andor. Now, So
let me just go off real quick a little bit because, like, listen, I grew up with Star Wars.
Yeah, same.
Okay, Star Wars is the reason why I speak English the way that I do. A lot of people always like, how do you speak such good English? It was Star Wars. I learned it through Star Wars. So I watched Star Wars when I was very young, and even then, it was like years after it had been released. And I watched the base trilogy. I watched the sequels. I didn't like the prequels. I didn't like the prequels as much as the original trilogy, but I was like, it's all right. It's pretty cool. It was nice to see Anakin's transition into the dark side. That was all fantastic.
Yeah.
I never really watched the Clone Wars. I've always heard good things about it, but to me, Star Wars is always more. No, I want to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Watching a Star Wars show, and I understand that apparently The Mandalorian's really good. And there's some other show that a friend of mine told me that's also very good. I don't know which one it is. But like, I watch a bit of The Mandalorian, but it's just hard for me to see that. It's like, I want a movie. I want a big fucking blockbuster Star Wars movie. Those are the ones that I really like, right? And basically with the sequels, it was disgusting what they did to Star Wars. And the thing that really irritates me is when people come up and they start saying, it's a movie about space wizards for children. Fuck you and fuck everything that you have to say about that. Okay? That's anybody that says something as dumb as it's a movie about space wizards for children is like, yeah, I could tell the way that, Luke's father chopped his fucking hand off. That's a very good thing for children. It's fucking amazing. It's impressive.
No, absolutely.
The way that we just lop off heads and limbs and shit, and we shoot people. And by the way, Han shot first, okay? George Lucas can take that one back the fuck home, okay? Han shot first. Everybody fucking knows it. But basically, these movies are very important to me. And ever since Disney took over, it's just been a constant in-shitification of the universe of Star Wars. It is disgusting, and it has made me, pretty much since The Last Jedi, I've been absolutely unable to take Star Wars seriously anymore. The last movie that I watched of Star Wars was the Rise of Skywalker, whatever the fuck they call the final sequel. I forget what it was. And it was so disgusting because it was like, so you guys made a movie which was like a remake of A New Hope, which was The Force Awakens. Then you made Last Jedi, which was whatever the fuck you want to call that piece of trash.
Yeah.
And then you made this other movie that was kind of like apologizing the whole time for the piece of trash that the previous movie was. And it's just like, it's a trilogy of garbage.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, what have you done to my show? And now I've been seeing this Acolyte stuff. And apparently now they're saying it's not the Force, it's the strands.
Yes.
They're strand or the threads or whatever the fuck. And you pull the threads and you birth children from the Force. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? It's like, Anakin was born from the Force because he was special. You motherfuckers just birthed two random people from the Force.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, what the fuck? Well, what is going on? And then it's like and then when the most recent one was how like one of the characters, I don't follow the show, I just see like random highlights on Twitter, and this was by someone who's super excited about it. It's like, oh my god, she bled her saber, and I'm seeing the saber turn from blue to red, and I was like, I was under the understanding that the way that this works is you're supposed to pour blood into the kyber crystals inside the lightsaber, and that corrupts the crystals, and then you put the corrupted crystal back in, and then the saber becomes red. I wasn't aware that sabers just changed colors randomly, and why wouldn't Anakin's saber have changed colors when he murdered all the Jedi younglings?
Yep. But that's
because
exactly
he was still
right?
on the good side of the Force then. As he was murdering children.
But that's the thing, right? It's the politicization. But that's exactly the problem. That's why most of Disney at the moment doesn't work. Because everything Disney does is political. Everything Disney does is viewed through this lens of the girl boss, right? And shitting on lore that's been established. The thing is, if you want to make a successful show, we spoke about this last week, you have to find a way to appease the core audience of the show whilst also creating hooks for new audience members to come in. That's not how any of these shows are operating. I don't know if we spoke about this last week or the week before, but the D&D dude that said white men can't get out of the hobby fast enough, right?
I don't think we even spoke about it at all. I don't remember this topic.
Maybe I made a video on this, but the dude said it can't happen fast enough for white men to leave the D&D hobby.
I think that's so fucking such a fucking terrible thing to say. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care. I don't care because, like, listen, I'm sitting here whenever and this particularly annoys me because whenever I like something, I always want more people to participate. And when I say more people, I don't mean more white men. I mean more of anybody. I want people to join in and have fun, but I also want them to respect what the thing is. Like, I don't want, okay, everybody join in. Now let's change the whole thing around so that it's something completely different. It's like, no, let's join in. This is fun because it's like this, which is why I try to introduce people to Dark Souls. I mean, hell, one of the very first videos I ever made, the reason I even got into content creation in a way, was a World of Warcraft video of me teaching people how to tank because there weren't enough tanks. And I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to teach you guys how to tank. Here's how you do it. Boom, boom, boom. And just, that's kind of like the thing. To me, it's always been about bringing more people in. And this idea that, we need to exclude this specific race of people out of this specific hobby. You know what we call that? It's fucking racism. Like, I'm sorry, bro. 100%. It is. Man. It's just like, fucking hell. I don't want to exclude anybody from any race to participate in my hobbies. It's the opposite. I want everybody to play the things I'm playing because it's great.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. But that's the problem, right? The problem is that they can't make the connection. The guys from Acolyte cannot make the connection. They keep saying things like, yes, we know the show isn't doing as well with viewers, but they'll adapt. They'll get used to it. No, they won't, bitch. They just won't watch.
They'll get used to it?
Yeah. They just won't watch. It's as simple as that.
There is not a single event that will ever make me get used to the absolute travesty that was The Last Jedi. They're just not. Because basically they picked up one of my childhood heroes and shat all over his face. Yeah. That's what they did. They picked up Luke Skywalker and said, oh yeah, Luke Skywalker thought about murdering Han Solo's kid in his fucking sleep. And I was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
The guy who redeemed Darth Vader wanted to kill Han Solo's kid in his fucking sleep? I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, but you see, this is
I don't agree.
But you see, this is exactly the politicization of it, right?
Oh, God.
It's taking whatever fans like and shitting all over it as a way to show the fans how evil they are. Because now it gives them the opportunity, yeah, if you prefer Luke Skywalker over Rey, fuckface, then you are clearly a misogynist. And it's like, actually, no.
Here's the thing. I don't even necessarily prefer Luke Skywalker over Rey. I just don't think that Rey had a character arc at all.
Well,
Rey never failed at anything.
Well,
not even once. She was perfect from the get-go. Yeah, like Luke fucks up. Luke fucks up constantly in the original trilogy. He's always fucking up. He spends the whole fucking trilogy fucking up until at the very end, he actually becomes aware of the things that he needs to do when he becomes like more in tune with the Force. But like the first 2 episodes, he's fucking up constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly a fuck up. But you know, that Rey, she's just like, no, I'm perfect. I do everything. Like she literally was flying the Millennium Falcon better than Han Solo in the first episode of the sequel trilogy. Yeah. It's like, excuse me?
No, but of course, right? She's a gold boss. She doesn't have the baggage that men have, and they wonder why the fuck no one is connecting with this character. The reason I say,
and by the way, I'm not against the next big Star Wars character being a female or being white or being black, Asian, Mexican. I don't care. I just want that character to have a fucking arc. Like an actual arc that we can relate to. We want to see them fail.
The hero's journey.
Like, no, I'm the best one. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be the hero's journey, but there needs to be at least some type of ups and downs in the character's development. It's like, no, I'm perfect. I do everything perfect. I never miss. I never fail.
I'll be honest with you. I liked Andor for exactly that reason. Andor went through the same stuff. It's also a television series.
I've heard good things about
Andor. Was pretty
good. I've heard good things about Andor.
Yeah, and Rogue One, I also thought was really good because it's mostly about Andor.
Rogue One was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Rogue One was really fun.
Rogue One is the one thing that Disney made that I was like, okay, this one was good. This one was real good.
I absolutely agree with you. I enjoyed Rogue One. I actually watched Rogue One because I saw Chrissy on Twitter talk about Rogue One and praising it. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Let's see. I didn't even know Rogue One existed. And my viewers kept hounding me about watching Rogue One. And I was like, all right, I respect that. Let's see.
And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
The death of the Empire android, HK-51, whatever the fuck his name is, was more emotional than the death of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Luke Skywalker, and here's the thing. You know that at one point I tweeted that, and Mark Hamill liked that tweet.
I don't think he understood the reference.
Oh no, he absolutely understood it. He absolutely because didn't you know Mark Hamill didn't like the sequels? He said it was like, oh, this he spoke against. I mean, he didn't spoke against it because obviously he's being paid by Disney, so he's contractually obligated to kind of like promote the movies. But he was like, I don't really see him as Luke Skywalker. He's kind of like Jake Skywalker, whatever. But you could see that like Mark Hamill did not like doing that Luke at all.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's sort of like it's shitting all over your favorite hobbies because the only way they can make their characters at all interesting is the only way they can get people to talk about their shit is by shitting all over it so that the haters will at least talk about it. So, you know, it is what it is. But sticking with Star Wars because
here we go.
Redemption is on the way. Rurikon.
Is it?
For all the Star Wars fans out there, I am pleased to fucking announce that Star Wars Outlaws looks mid as fuck. You watched the trailer just before the show. What did you think, Rurikon? Were you blown away? I
hadn't watched it before. I had heard about this new gameplay thing.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of it, and it's like, what can I say? It looks just about what I would expect from your typical Ubi slop thing. And it's like, they picked one of the most boring ass side quests, I'm assuming, unless that's part of the main quest, which if that's part of the main quest, that's like,
even more devastating, right?
It's like, oh, we go to a fucking Jawa, and the Jawa asks the main character to go get a Sarlacc tooth. the character doesn't know what a sarlacc is, so she says sarlock.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. I mean, considering that you're an outlaw, I'm assuming this character, because they're trying to portray her as like a lived-in outlaw with experience, like on the what do they call the outer rim of the galaxy, because you know, doing shady shit all over the place. So I would expect this character to be somewhat knowledgeable of something like a fucking sarlacc.
To survive would be, you know, it would be helpful. Information usually keeps you alive.
Yeah, sarlacc.
Yeah, but remember, she is a gold boss, so she gets nothing wrong. It is not canonical. It is a sarlacc.
I don't know. No, listen, I don't know if she's a girl boss. I haven't seen enough about that character to know if she's a girl boss.
Oh, bro, I fucking guarantee you she's a girl boss. We don't have to argue about this.
But see, that's the thing. I feel like you can't just assume everything. Like, I don't even know if she's going to be a bad character or not. I don't actually know. It doesn't bother me that it's a female character. It doesn't bother me at all. The thing that bothers me about that game is the fucking business practice. Disgusting. It's fucking Ubisoft garbage ass business practice.
So anyone
I actually wanted to play the game. I want to play the game, but I don't want to like fucking subscribe to your Ubisoft Plus garbage ass piece of whatever. I want to like actually get a proper experience, not like piecemealed it out by like, oh, here's like fucking, we took away this mission and we took away this other mission and this other mission, and so you get the first mission if you get the deluxe version, then the other mission if you get the one above the deluxe, but you only get everything if you get the ultimate version, or you can do the subscription. It's like, bro, get the fuck out of here with all that bullshit. But yeah, fundamentally, that's like my biggest thing about that game.
I will just say this: it is not a problem for me that this character is female. I couldn't give two shits about that. One of my favorite games pretty much ever, and I've said this so many times on stream, so many times in videos. No, but I mean, Elden Ring is like, we're talking proper game, but I'm talking series that I finished all three of them, because I didn't know about the games until the third one. And I finished all three of them in like a week. I couldn't stop playing it. Was Tomb Raider, right? I just thought Tomb Raider was so fucking well told. But the reason I don't count it in my top 5 is because of the type of game that it is, right? It's not...
Yeah.
It won't compete with things like Elden Ring or Witcher or Mass Effect, right? But it could easily be in my top 20 of games that I've played, because it was super fun. It was a great story, but it's different. You know, it's more cinematic. It's less video gamey and more about the story. So yeah, I view it sort of the same as like Detroit Become Human type esque kind of genres. They're never going to be the best games you've ever played, but they're going to be some of the best games you've ever played. And so I don't mind when you have female characters as the lead, but then I need to know that those female characters are actually going to be female characters. They're not just going to look female, but then do all these manly shit without the hero's journey. Because that's the problem. You just spoke about Rey. The biggest problem with Rey is the lack of a hero's journey. There's no reason for me to like this character because there's nothing to relate to. The character has no personality trait outside of look at me, goal boss. Now, you are fair in saying we don't know enough about the game to know whether or not she's going to be a goal boss. That's perfectly fair.
Outlaws.
But I can tell you one thing. Looking at that gameplay, the game does nothing new. It doesn't seem like the gameplay is groundbreaking or even that fun. It looks a little janky, very slow. I watched that and I thought to myself, all right, nothing about this game blew me away. I will say, though, the opposite of that is Flintlock. Now, I know Flintlock is SBI, and, you know, it's apparently going to be a super woke game, even though the developers came out and said they worked with SBI. SBI almost ruined the studio. They fired SBI, and then they took all this time to fix all of the shit that SBI themselves implemented into the game. They claim that the game has nothing anymore from the SBI days. But if you look at, I don't know if you've seen Flintlock.
I've seen Flintlock. The biggest thing about me with Flintlock was I looked at the animations and I was very turned off by the animations overall, which I'm very much driven by animations. Like I like games that animate really well, especially when it comes to a game that's going to be like a Souls-like. So
Yeah.
whenever I start looking at animations, I was like, oh, I don't know. But the
Mm.
thing about Flintlock is I would probably still have given it a shot, but it
Mhm.
came out at exactly the same time as Kunitsugami, and I was much more interested in Kunitsugami, so that's the one that I chose.
Yeah. I'm gonna play it as soon as it goes live. Well, not as soon as I might play it.
I think it already went
Wait a
live.
minute. I'm not sure. They did a countdown of it. I'm not sure where the countdown is. Maybe it is live already. But I did respect the fact that they said the game has elements of Souls-like, but it is not as punishing as Elden Ring, for example. I respected that. I respect the ideas that they're trying to push in the game. So let's see. But yeah, because at least with Flintlock, it does look like they really tried to do something different. Outlaws or Star Wars Outlaw really just looks as if it's more of the fucking same.
Yeah.
It looks like pretty much your bog standard Ubisoft game, if I'm very
So
honest.
you know that at one point Electronic Arts had like the Star Wars license and they were the only ones who could do Star Wars games.
Yeah.
So there's this little studio of dudes who make these space games. The space, I think that the game is called Rebel Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh-huh.
And Rebel Galaxy is a game that they had made where you fly these big capital ships, and it works almost like the boat combat in Assassin's Creed. So kind
Yeah.
of like you look to the side, you fire off your side things, and you're flying through space and killing ships and doing trades and stuff like that.
Or
And I
like
was like, oh, this
Starfield.
looks not like Starfield at all, because their game is all ships. So
Their game is
all
good.
ships.
You mean
Yeah.
their game is
Oh
good?
yeah, Rebel Galaxy is good. It's a fantastic game. It has really good soundtrack as well. But so they had this game, and they made a prototype of a more advanced version of their game, and they put in Star Wars ships.
Oh yeah.
So it was really cool. They had like the Millennium Falcon, they had X-Wings, TIE fighters, and all this cool stuff. And you'd be flying around and doing combat and whatnot. They had like a fully functional demo that they put up. There's a gameplay video. I don't know if it's still up or not, but there used to be a gameplay video of their game. And I was like, bro, this looks amazing. And then when I saw that video, it was like, oh yeah, we pitched this to EA. They told us to go pound rocks. And I was like, oh, that's great.
Of course they did.
That's great. And instead of that, what did EA do? They did that fucking Star Wars. Which one? What was the name of the one that they did that was like chock full of microtransactions? I forget which one.
Battlefront.
It was. Yeah, They did their Battlefront 2 with the pink Darth Vader.
Yeah,
and, the whatever.
I can guarantee you, and I'm willing to put I'm willing to put my name to this. The Star Wars Outlaws is going to be more of the same. It's going to be Far Cry.
It's going to sell.
And Assassin's Creed.
It's going to sell. I guarantee you it's going to sell, and it's going to be super successful because people love eating Ubisoft slop. They love it. Like Ubisoft comes in, it's like you're in line at the prison mess hall, right? And you got your little tray, and Ubisoft is like the big, nasty chef lady that's got like a big fucking wart on her nose, and she's just like coming in with the fucking big spoon and just go like, here's your fucking green bowl of slop, and she just slaps it onto your tray. It's like, it even like slaps into your face as it comes off.
Yeah,
it's like, that's right, motherfucker, eat that shit. And people do it. They fucking do it.
I have no doubt.
Slop.
So I do want to say though, I have no doubt that it's going to be financially successful.
Oh,
I do think though it's going to be the end of Star Wars games, from a fan perspective, right? So I think it's going to be super unsuccessful with fans.
Aren't they doing like a trilogy with the Fallen Order stuff, the Jedi Order stuff?
I'm not entirely sure, but what I mean is the trust is going to be gone, right? This is going to be because EA with Respawn kind of started to get it right with the Last Jedi stuff. Man, not the Last Jedi stuff.
It was Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, with the Jedi stuff. They sort of started to get it right. I never really played those games. I played a little bit of the Fallen Order one.
They're pretty good.
I didn't finish any of them. I never played the second one. I might actually go back and try at some point. But
it's really good for the set pieces, but it had like a lot of performance issues when it came out. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
It was actually hilarious because you know how there's usually this console PC rivalry. Now I played it on PS5, and I remember at the time because on PC the game was running like absolute ass,
Of
and you
course.
had a couple of console people coming in saying like runs fine on my PlayStation, blah blah blah, and I just come in with the most nasty fucking clip on at like performance mode, and the game was running at 11 FPS. And I was like,
Oh,
"You
nice.
mean like this? You mean like this piece
Yeah,
of
but
fucking
remember,
trash? This runs well,
Rurikon,
motherfucker? Shut the fuck up! Like, sit the fuck down."
No,
Jesus
11
Christ.
FPS is perfectly fine because the human eye can only see like 1 FPS a minute. So, it's perfectly fine.
The human eye can only see 1 frames per second a minute. Is
a
that
minute.
what you said?
Yes. It's not even FPS, it's FPM. 1 frame per minute. So 11 is more than enough. Your eyes will never notice the difference, even though it fucking obviously notices the difference.
Yes.
But it looks mid, and that's my biggest complaint. It's not the character, it's not the lead. It's that I look at this game that is promised to be a next generation game. The only thing missing from this fucking game is Ubisoft calling it a quadruple A game, right?
It's
The
like,
second
listen,
that happens, we've got the trifecta.
If they wouldn't do their slimy, disgusting business practices, I would check it out. But like, bro, fuck off with this $130 bullshit. Get your fucking whatever, bro. It's whatever. Not to mention that the best way to play these games, by the way, is you wait for a year and then you pick up the ultimate version at like $30 or $20 or some bullshit like that. Because that's how much Ubisoft values their slop to. Next year, it's going to be fucking worthless.
Dude, my problem with Ubisoft games, and this is why I said it looks mid as fuck. The gameplay first, like I said, doesn't really improve on anything. It doesn't really do anything new. In fact, it kind of looks like similar to games that we would get in 2015, 2016. The thing is, for me, and this has always been my issue, it's Ubisoft. I tried to play Far Cry 6. Right? I was like, let's give this a go. People praise Far Cry to hell and back, so let's see how good this is. It's the same shit over and over again. The map is busy. There's always something happening on the map. The problem is that it's literally the same thing just happening in a different part of the fucking map. And then you play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, same fucking thing. A lot of shit happening on the map, but it's the same thing happening on the map, just in a different location. Go assassinate this guy, and then you sneak past a couple of guards, assassinate the guy, and then you leave. It's like, oh, wait, but this was fun the first few times I did it. After the 5th time, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And that it's almost guaranteed going to be exactly the same thing. Because, and, people keep saying the game's getting bigger. It's just getting bigger. They're doing even more shit. It's going to be the biggest game ever made. I'm like, yeah, I kind of heard that before from so many other companies. And every single time I get promised the biggest game ever made, what we get is the most boring game ever fucking made.
We've already spoke about Ubisoft creativity in this episode, so I just have to give them just like a little more, one more jab, which is like, look, you have access to one of the biggest IPs ever created that has so many creatively designed spacecraft. And what is your entry into that universe? You made a fucking square.
Yeah.
A square with thrusters. Congratulations. God damn it. You're so fucking creative, man. You made a square with thrusters. I'm fucking proud of you, dude. In the same IP that has the Millennium Falcon, you made a square with thrusters.
Congratulations.
Dope, baby.
But it's Star Wars. It's gonna sell. Guaranteed.
100%.
It's fucking Star Wars. And people
minimum
are
5
hungry
million.
for Star Wars.
Listen, here's my prediction. Minimum 5 million copies within the first month.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. Anyways, very quickly, moving on. Just quickly wanted to discuss No Man's Sky.
Wanted to discuss No Man's Sky? No, motherfucker. Well, this is the biggest thing we need to talk about, my guy. Are you really familiar with No Man's Sky?
Yeah. I am familiar.
Have you ever played No Man's Sky?
A little bit, yes.
Oh man, dude,
But
listen, this is one of the biggest comeback stories in
yeah, of
gaming
course.
ever. And Sean Murray just comes out and he's like, no, wait, guys. Let's change literally everything. Let's just refresh the whole fucking universe, improve the visuals all around, make a brand new expedition where you're going to be hunting bugs almost kind of like Helldivers.
Yeah. Wow.
That's kind of like the theme of the new expedition, which isn't live yet. The expeditions usually come a little bit later after the update, but they've updated the game right now. There's a bunch of new creatures. New water visuals, because water used to be really flat. Now that's like gets affected by wind and shit, and so it forms waves and all of this crazy stuff. There's new stuff for the combat mech. There's new sky boxes. There's fucking volumetric clouds that you can actually fly through with your ship and whatnot. There's additional stuff because since the game came out, they've also added the functionality for you to fully edit your ship, so you can edit ships now. And now they've added the functionality to also added solar ships, which were special ships that had like solar sails and whatnot. They've added atmospherics into the planets. The planets look completely different, like greatly improved visually, just like much more dense with vegetation, new animal generation, all of these things. It's absolutely insane. And they're adding new biomes as well as this Bug Queen gameplay loop. Dude, since the beginning, you know, they've added trench runs like Star Wars. There's like combat events now where you do trench runs like in A New Hope when they're going through the trench run. Like, it's insane. They've added ships that you can get. This is not from this update, but like from a previous update that I played. They've added ships that you can get from the Sentinels, because you know the Sentinels, the police force. You can get ships from them and steal them. It's like, bro, they've added so much content that this game is just probably the single best value proposition in gaming right now.
I've not gotten that deep into it. I played for maybe like 2 hours, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It's fine. I saw the new visuals. But the reason I wanted to talk about No Man's Sky, it was only to say my hype for Light No Fire, I think it's called Light No Fire.
It is Light No Fire.
Yeah. Has just exponentially increased. And it was already fucking high after seeing the first trailer.
So
I was like, holy shit, bro. Because a lot of what you just mentioned comes from Light No Fire.
Yeah,
right?
They've been working on Light No Fire, and they're like, hey, now we can put all of these things
into No Man's Sky.
Into No Man's Sky. And I was like, bro, what the
But this is what blows my mind. You have a game that came out with a very rocky start, right? Let's be real. This game was bad at the start. It was very empty. I remember people complaining about it.
I didn't dislike it as much as a lot of people did. I will say that. I thought it was pretty cool at the start. It wasn't, the best thing ever, but I still liked what was the starting experience.
I think what happened with that game is overpromised, underdelivered, right? There were a lot of promises made, and almost none of those promises were delivered upon. Or at least in the grand scheme of things, very few were delivered upon.
And 8 years later, it's overpromised and somehow over-delivered on that promise.
But here's the thing, right? 8 years later, they keep releasing content and updates to the game. And dude, the only other studios that we see doing this to their universes...
No. Wait. No other studio does this. You want to know why? Let me tell you why. Every single update that we've gotten for this game has been free. There hasn't been a single microtransaction, nothing. Everything is free 99.
Yeah, but I want to say very quickly, you have games like CD Projekt Red, studios like CD Projekt Red with Witcher 3. Yes, it had DLC, but almost every single year, there is some new update to Witcher 3. Right? They keep doing something new.
I feel like the amount of content is not comparable.
No, but you don't have to be comparable, right? It is true that what No Man's Sky is doing is it far exceeds what any other studio is trying to do. But also remember, it's a very different game to something like Witcher.
It is. It is.
Witcher is much more story focused, whereas No Man's Sky is much more about the exploration and finding the world and enjoying the universe. But it's the same thing. They keep investing in their IPs long after they have to. You look at games from EA, you look at games from Ubisoft, you look at games from Activision or Blizzard. They stop after a while, right? After a while, it's just sort of like samey. They don't really will ever. Like, do you think EA is going to continue to develop things for Star Wars Fallen Order? Fuck no, right? The game is done. Yeah, they won't. CD Projekt Red does this. Larian Studio does this with Baldur's Gate 3. They're still doing updates and shit for Baldur's Gate 3. They're still doing updates and shit for Divinity Original Sin 2. Because from my perspective, these are studios that have a love for what they're creating, right? And if they can, they want to continue to put cool stuff into those universes whenever they can. So yeah, I am more excited now for Light No Fire than I've ever been before, and I was pretty excited for it. The only other game that right now I would say absolutely has my dick super hard is Exodus. Like, bro, I showed my brother the trailer for Exodus because my brother's like me, Mass Effect stan. And my brother saw the first, I think, like maybe minute of the trailer. And he was like, I'm playing this. And he's not even that much of a gamer anymore. And he's like, I'm playing this. I don't know if you know what Exodus is.
I know it's from the it does have people from the No Man's Sky, not No Man's Sky, from
Mass Effect. Yeah, the original developers of Mass Effect. Yeah.
I remember seeing they've only done the one trailer for that game so far, right?
I think there's two. I think there is two.
I remember when I saw that. I forget. Was it during Summer Game Fest or was it some other?
Yeah. I think it was It was at Games Fest. I'm just not sure which Games Fest.
But yeah, I remember watching that. And I was like, okay, this looks badass. I would like to play that. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, dude, it looks phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to that. Then of course we have something that came from you. I haven't played this yet, but Dawntrail is too hard. Like, is Dawntrail now Elden Ring? What's happening? What's going on?
This has been hilarious to me because I haven't gotten to the raid yet of this expansion.
Yeah.
I've played all of the raids on normal, and I've progged Savage up to P8S on Endwalker for reference.
Yeah.
And the thing that's been interesting is that whenever I'm doing the MSQ, which is what I'm doing right now, I'm going through it very slowly. I always feel like, bro, things are way too easy. Things are just way too fucking easy. Even dungeons, they're too easy. Like, I shouldn't be able to, as a tank, the first time that I jump into a dungeon, just be able to do wall-to-wall pulls, kill bosses, make like 3, 4, 5 mistakes, which I have done, not be punished for it at all. Just keep on pushing through. Not a problem. Nobody dies. Everything's good. I feel like things are too easy. And so that's kind of like the way that I look at it. But recently there's been forum threads on the official Final Fantasy 14 forums where people are saying, no, it's too hard. Normal raid is too hard. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, raids in Final Fantasy 14, normal raids, they're already so easy. I don't know how you can make them easier. If they're harder, the more these people talk about how things are harder, the more excited I'm getting for getting to the actual. I'm like, man, am I actually going to be challenged this time around on a normal raid? Because I don't want to go do Savage, because Savage is a pain in the ass to coordinate, and it's like you either go look at a guide, because if you try to prog it blind, it's a pain in the ass. Because again, I did it during Endwalker all the way up to P8S, and that's when I was like, okay, this is too much. So I want more of that mid-core content that is more challenging. So hearing people say that apparently the new normal raids are harder, I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want. But people are even complaining about dungeons. They're saying like, oh, the new dungeons are a nightmare to heal. And I was like, okay, so the previous dungeons in the game, you don't even need to use GCDs to heal. You can just heal people off with off GCDs, which is just like instant abilities that you don't even need to spend any of your cooldowns, global cooldown on doing anything. You're just like, yep, I'll just heal you off real quick with this thing. Don't even have to worry about it. And all of my thing just goes into damage. Healers were actually complaining ahead of this expansion. They were striking. They said, we're going to strike at the launch of the expansion because apparently they got real mad that, you know who Xenosis Vex is?
No.
So they did a media tour. Xenosis Vex he plays a tank in Final Fantasy 14. And he basically went into a dungeon and he was like, let's just do this dungeon without a healer. Because you can do that if you play a warrior, because warriors have so much sustain that you can just go into a dungeon, heal yourself, and you can even spare off some heals here and there for other people. So they go and they do like a random dungeon in the media tour without a healer. And the healers get so mad. They're like, our role is meaningless. Healers are not needed to play the game. And it's like, for starters, not everybody's going to be able to do that because it requires a certain degree of coordination between your teammates, and everybody needs to have a little bit of self-sustain so that they can hang in there. So not every class combination is able to do this. Not to mention you still need to be experienced with what you're doing and whatnot. But healers got mad because apparently this healers are trivial in content. And now apparently everybody's being like, oh my God, the content's too hard. Oh no. And to me, it's like, look, you need to be challenged when you're doing a raid.
Yeah.
I can't just keep jumping into raids. And a lot of the raids I'll clear first try, first time I ever go in there. That just shouldn't be a thing. I should have to die a couple of times to understand how the mechanics work. And sometimes it does happen. But normally you get through a raid like fairly easy. So if they're making it a little bit harder, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah.
But people are apparently saying it's too hard. We need casual content. It's like, bro, it doesn't get any more casual than this fucking MSQ. There's literally no challenge. I'll go into the MSQ with classes that I don't even know how to play, and I'll mash like one attack and win. It doesn't get easier than that.
I think the problem, of course, is you're never going to be able to keep everyone happy. And I think also at the same time, Final Fantasy is probably in a very weird spot because I think desperately is trying to get their hands on the hardcore World of Warcraft element. You know, the guys that go super hardcore in dungeons and raids and stuff of that nature. But it is also trying at the same time not to lose its core audience. And I think that is pretty much always going to come with turmoil. The problem that I have more with anything, and I don't quite understand, is, and it's because I haven't played it, is because when I played Final Fantasy XIV, I couldn't find a single fan of the game bad-mouthing the game. Pretty much everyone loved the game universally. If you said anything bad about the game, you'd be attacked by pretty much everyone. Whereas now it seems like everyone is bad-mouthing the game. It seems like everyone is
it's all these fucking World of Warcraft refugees, man. It's them.
I don't know if it's that. I think we just now live in an era where people are divided, you know, and everyone is trying to find fault with everything. And because Final Fantasy isn't making your life feel a little bit better because your life is complete dog shit, it is now suddenly the most shit game in the history of the world. I don't agree with that. I don't think Yoshi P would ever put out a product that is just straight up bad. He seems to truly have a love for the game. But it might also just be that people expected too much from Dawntrail. They expected Dawntrail to do a lot more than what it was ever going to do, at least in the first fucking patch, right? Or in the first base of the game. So I would argue if you are a Final Fantasy XIV fan, just hold on to your tits, you know, and wait a little. It might get a lot better as time goes on. I've never heard of the Final Fantasy XIV team being deaf to the complaints of players. They will react if there is something that they think is actually important.
If they make things easier in normal raids, I'm going to be mad. Because, like, I actually want to eventually get to these raids and be properly challenged. Because, come on, man.
Yoshi P is
normal
famous.
Raids have always been too easy.
But isn't Yoshi P famous for like not nerfing things very quickly? Because they test it in-house, they know exactly whether or not it's doable. So they won't nerf anything if they feel like it's doable and it shouldn't be a problem.
Oh yeah, like the last Savage tier, the very first tier of Savage and Endwalker, it was so insanely tuned that certain tanks couldn't be a part of the couldn't be a part of the thing because they didn't deal enough damage.
Oh shit. All right. I mean, hey, you know, if it works, it works. But
it was really funny.
I mean, fundamentally, I think we'll end the episode on this, and I'll say the following. I think gamers need to be, and it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. I think gamers simultaneously have to be a lot more critical of our hobby, and I think gatekeeping needs to fucking sometimes be amped up, especially when people. I don't, ordinarily, I am against gatekeeping, but when you have vultures and tourists trying to infiltrate your space and change the game at its fundamental level for them.
That is where I will agree with you. I will agree with you that like it's like, look, I hate the notion of gatekeeping, which is why I always make guides to make it easier on people to jump into the games that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I always do my best to bring them in, but at the same time, it is important for people to acknowledge, okay, this is what this game is. So I shouldn't be jumping in to say Elden Ring and ask for an easy mode. It's like, no, you don't do that. You don't fucking do that. Sorry.
Go. But this is why
there's a million other games with easy modes. Go play those.
Yeah. Okay? But this is why I said, right? Gatekeep, especially specifically when tourists are trying to come into your games and trying to change the fundamentals of the game, trying to turn the game into something that it is not. But at the same time, right, being more critical, gatekeeping a lot more, I think we also have to cut developers that have earned the right for a little bit of leeway. We have to afford them that leeway. Yoshi P and his team have earned the fucking right for you to shut the fuck up for a little while and just watch and see what they're doing. That doesn't mean that you don't make your complaints known. It doesn't mean that you don't say what you don't like. Of course you do that. But you don't just go on a fucking yelling spree. This is over. Like you said earlier, some people in your community saying From Software is done. They worked really hard in order to win the goodwill from the player base. So afford them that goodwill and see what they do next. If they completely go off the deep end, then you can complain, of course. But until such time, maybe, cut them the slack that they deserve, because they did earn their name for being a company that actually care. But I mean, obviously, I'm going to pass this over to the audience, and I'm going to ask you guys to let me and Rurikan know in the comment section, what do you think of video gaming in general? What do you feel about the topics that we discussed today? Are you looking forward to Star Wars and Star Wars Outlaws? Did you enjoy The Acolyte specifically? Let us know, and let us know why. What about those games and those universes did you enjoy, so that we can see and measure our own experiences to yours. So we would love to see that from you. As always, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like if you liked, dislike if you didn't. And Rurikan, thank you once again for joining me on this journey that we call Mythic Banter. Thank you to all of you for supporting us, hitting the subscribe button, hitting the like button on the shows. It helps out a ton. This thing is growing faster than we could ever have expected it to. We were just talking about it earlier in the week. We're looking at the numbers and we're going, dude, we have no business getting the amount of views that we're getting. It is insane. So we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely massive love from all of us here at Mythic Banter. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.